And the very last piece of accuracy and precision doesn't really have much to do with accuracy and precision per se, but it has a lot to do with actually making measurements. So there's going to be two types of instruments that we use this year to make measurements. One is going to be a digital instrument that gives you a reading. When you have a digital instrument, all you need to do is write down the exact number that it gives you. So if the question was, what is the mass of this piece of metal, you would literally write 20.00 grams. And it's important that you write 20.00 grams. If you wrote 20 grams, that's wrong. You'll learn more about that when we learn about significant figures, but you want to just write all the digits as shown. Where it gets a little trickier is when you're using a non-digital instrument. So that'll be things like a ruler and a graduated cylinder and sometimes a thermometer. So what you do is you record one estimated digit beyond the smallest readings. So if you look at this metal bar here, you can look at the actual markings on this ruler. You can see that it's definitely past the 5, but before the 6. So 5 is definitely, that's a known digit. It's definitely greater than 5.2, but it's not greater than 5.3. So for sure, it's 5.2 something. And then you estimate how far is it between 5.2 and 5.3. And so we think that this should be 5.2, and it looks like maybe it's a third of the way there. So 5.23 centimeters. You go one digit beyond the smallest marking. So here are 3 examples for you to try. The first 2 are graduated cylinders. The last one is something called a burette. And there's something, you can see I marked down here, there's something really tricky about this one. So take a moment. Remember, you're going one digit beyond the smallest marking. Try to fill these out and then unpause and go back and see how you did. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. What is the smallest marking? Well, this is 35, and then you have to look, what do each of these lines stand for? And I guess they stand for an individual milliliter. So the smallest marking is an individual milliliter. So I can say for sure this is 36, right? 36 is this line. So it's definitely 36 point something. And I just estimate how far it is in between. To me, it looks like about 4. And that number is going to be estimated. So on a test, if you said 36.5, that's perfectly fine. What I would really be looking for is how many digits you have. So if you just say 36, you would get that wrong. If you said something like 36.0, I would say, but it's not exactly on the line. So that last number can be a little tricky, but I want to make sure that you have the right number and that it's somewhere in the right area. The next one you'll see, so this is 30, this is 40. So what do each of those lines mean? It's actually the same thing. They mean each individual milliliter. So I know for sure it's 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. And honestly, it looks like it's right on that line. But if I just left it at 35, that would not be good because I can go one digit beyond the smallest marking. So 35.0 milliliters would be correct for that. And then the final one, if you look closely, notice the lower number is up top and the larger number is down bottom. This would be something where you would be draining out the amount. So you can imagine that this guy started at the 0 mark. And how much have I drained? I've drained down to there. So that's actually what you're answering. This would be an instrument called a burette. Would actually be what you would use for this. It's used in titrations mostly. So how much was drained? Well, this is 20.1, 20.2, 20.3, 20.4. So I know it's definitely 20.3, and now I can go one digit beyond the smallest marking because each one of those lines doesn't stand for a milliliter, it stands for a tenth of a milliliter. So I don't know, maybe 20.37 milliliters. I think that's about as far as you can go. Okay, so you're going to try some more of these for your homework. Ugh. That's fine.